Welcome into Rick Renner, Texas High School Hysteria, powered by Ford. Ford is the best in Texas. Subscribe now and follow on YouTube, Twitter, Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Odyssey, or any of your favorite streaming platforms. And never miss an episode. Joining me now, the greatest tight end in football history and the head coach of the Liberty Christian Warriors in Argyle, the one, the only Jason Witten. How you doing there, buddy?
Doing great. It's been it's awesome to get on with you.
So good to see you again. And you know, what a run last year. You guys go 10-2 all the way to the state quarterfinals. You got a lot of talent back, and what a great start, making a big statement in week number 1 against Prestonwood with the 29-point win. Are you sensing something special about your team this year?
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's been one game, but we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. But I'm really pleased with where we're at. You know, I mean, it's our third year of our program. We took a big step from year 1 to year 2. You know, we went 2-8 in that first year and lost a lot of games and played a lot of young guys, and just told our coaching staff we just got to keep improving. And then in year 2, we were able to take a big jump and, you know, winning our district and going 9-1 in league in the regular season, and just couldn't finish it off in the playoffs. So, you know, you're hoping that you can just continue to take another step. Our guys have worked really hard, attention to detail. They expect to play well, and they just love playing for each other. So it's been a lot of fun for us, and you know, we're excited. It's a different, you know, platform for us because, you know, we're used to being the underdog, and now, you know, I think there's a little bit higher expectations. As a coach, it always makes you a little nervous because you hope your team can handle that success week to week.
You got a great quarterback in Cole Welliver, who is going to be a guy that's going to play his college ball at the University of Connecticut. Came over from Flower Mound, Marcus. He can really spin it. He's as tall as you, so he can see over the line pretty well at 6'6". What do you like about this kid?
Yeah, Cole's just, since he came in January, he's been locked in. I mean, I think he wants to improve. Obviously, he's got a lot of natural talent. You know, he's got really good body mechanics inside the pocket. He can spin it. It's very natural coming out of his arm. And so I think the next step was for us is, okay, well, let's find completions. Let's not hold the ball forever. He's got a big arm and he likes to throw it deep. And, you know, when the protection breaks down, let's find an answer. And he's done that a number of times. You know, he completed over 70% of his passes. He's very accurate, attention to detail. He's humble. He's hardworking. So, you know, I've been really pleased since when he came in January, which he was talented, to now just leading the entire offense. And he had a great start to the season last Friday night.
I know leadership is such a big thing that you're all about. It's not an easy thing to teach, but he seems like he really has it.
Yeah, he's a guy's guy. You know, I mean, I think coming into it, you know, going to a new school, it's easy to look at him and say, okay, he's big, he's strong, he can throw it. He's got a little California cool to him, you know, but that's really not who he is. He's a humble guy. You know, he's very selective with his words. He's always trying to make everybody feel comfortable. He talks through things, and so and just got really good body language in game. His temperament's really, I've been really pleased with that. So everything so far has just been off the charts with not only his ability, but just his approach and the culture in high school football. You know, getting other guys to buy into that. It's been great for our team, and I think it's been great for Cole.
Now, you've had opportunities to coach both on the collegiate and the professional level. What was it about the mystique of Texas high school football that drew you in?
Well, I think, you know, I come from a coach's family. My grandfather was my high school football coach. And so I knew firsthand, you know, the impact a high school football coach can make. What I didn't know was the fraternity of Texas high school football coaches and how good they are. And, you know, just coaching that, obviously I have 2 boys in the program and coaching at the high school level. It's been a great reminder for me of why I fell in love with the game of football. You know, not just to see kids improve, but what the game of football can teach these young men about life and success and how you handle adversity and teamwork and shared commitment and all those things. And so it's just such a fun age. I really enjoyed it. I've had to learn a lot on the fly. I realized I was really spoiled in college and NFL. Somebody takes out the Gatorades for you and the ball bag and everything else. And these high school football coaches, they do it all. And they're really good too. They work hard at it. And just the impact, what a pivotal time in these kids' lives from 16 to 18 years old, and to be able to have an influence on them. I don't take that for granted. It's been very rewarding for me to be able to have that type of impact.
Yeah, I know when you took the job a couple of years ago, you talked about that, how, it doesn't always translate for great players to be great coaches. How have you been able to make that connection with these kids? Because it seems like you've been able to do that from the get-go.
Yeah, I think, when I did this, I really kind of felt like I was putting my college or NFL, that coaching career, on hold. Boy, was I wrong. I mean, coaching's coaching, and scheming up plays and getting the most out of the players and getting them believe that they can win and accomplish something special. I mean, it doesn't matter what level you're on. And so I just try to study it, a lot, just like as a player. I tried to find the answers to the test. I probably chased a few ghosts along the way and made some mistakes. And I think you got to look at yourself as a coach and really be honest with yourself and not make excuses and say, I got to be better here, and here. And so that's what I've tried to do. Like anything, you get out of it what you put into it. And so a place like Liberty Christian has been very rewarding for me and the staff to be able to kind of have the impact that we're able to have with our kids. And, I think it's made me a better coach. I do. I think because every team has deficiencies, and as a coach, you have to try to piece that together. And we're fortunate. We got a lot of good players, but, there's other teams do too. And so you got to be able to combat that. And, in year 3, I think I've done a much better job than probably I did the first year.
How special has it been to coach your kids? They both look like great players, CJ and Cooper, who's a freshman and starting.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I think like anything, when you start out there, you're spending a lot of time with them. They learn really quickly that there are higher expectations for them and they have to do things the right way. But then you're able to be so much a part of their life, and CJ's a junior, Cooper's a freshman. It happens like that. People have told me that all along, but and what a great opportunity for me to just be able to hit pause and be there and experience it with them and their friends and so much more. So it's been special. Sometimes as a coach, you don't get a chance to kind of hit pause and enjoy the moments when they have success. But man, Friday night or Saturday morning when I'm watching the tape, you're just so proud. And I've been able to experience a lot of great memories on the football field. I don't know that any are better than being out there with my 2 sons.
Now, do you give them a little tough love too? Push them a little bit?
I do. I told them the first day when we did it, like, listen, you're going to have to earn that, so I think everybody in our program would say, I'm pretty hard on them, have high standards for them. And there's no cupcake here, they're going to have to earn everything. And they have, and that's been really cool for them.
From my perspective, boy, watching those 2 kids, they look like they can really play. Where would you compare them to where you were, at their age?
Well, I think for Cooper, my younger one, he's a freshman. I think he's only 1 game in, so time will tell where he's at. My older son, CJ, I think just on an intellectual and football IQ level, he's so much further ahead than I was. Obviously, I was gifted with some great size and was blessed to be a little bit bigger than he is. But, I think just understanding it and being able to fall in love with the game and all the details that go into it. And so, he's certainly a lot faster than I am. He ran a 10.9 in the 100 meters last spring. And, I never saw 10. I was lucky to get a 10-second 40, more or less 100. So, he's got a lot of those things going for him. But, it's like I tell them, like, listen, this is your time. Don't compare yourself to me. Don't worry about all that. People are going to tell you that your whole life. But just go out there and be the best version you can be and chase your dreams. And don't worry about that. Dad's done it. And there's no pressure for them to have to meet up those expectations. And so I try to eliminate all that and not getting compared and really just try to tell them, hey, go be the best you can be. And that's what's been really fun about this whole thing.
Yeah, you didn't need that speed because you were able to carry like 7 guys on your back and do it without a helmet. So you really didn't need that speed at all. You ever tell the guys about the glory days when you were in high school and you were an all-state linebacker setting school records with a career 450 tackles? A lot of people don't know that about you.
They don't. I don't tell them many stories. I try not to bring up a ton. Guys, they'll ask me now that we're in our 3rd year, they'll ask a few more questions about Cowboys or teammates and NFL games. But man, this is their time, and I want to be so ingrained in their lives and what's happening. I think it was probably pretty cool for them the first season, and people were asking for autographs or taking photos. And then shortly after that, they were just kind of like, all right, enough of that. He's just our coach. And that's been really cool for us to be able to do that. And not just for our program, but for other programs we're competing against. I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude being a part of seeing how many great coaches and what Friday Night Lights is like in Texas, because there really is nothing like it.
That's so well said. You mentioned your grandfather earlier and how you really fell in love with football playing for him. I know you were part of teams in 3 years in a row in the state of Tennessee that made it to the state semifinals. He was a legendary coach in that state. What kind of things did you take from him that you're bringing to your coaching now?
Yeah, I think throughout my career as a player, I'd always try to take a little bit of things that I loved about certain coaches, and I also took things that I didn't love about them and say, I promise I'll never do that. Or maybe myself that I would never do it. But, I think it started with him of, getting kids to believe, and a lot of guys that I played for, and even myself in this little small town and some of the challenges that I had as a kid, like he never made me feel like that dream was too big or, oh, Jason, we need to bring it down a notch. It was always, if you're willing to work at it and the good Lord blesses you and you're able to chase it and you're committed enough, you can accomplish those things. And so I think that's the number one thing. I try to go into a program that was really beat up, had they were 6-27 in the previous 4 seasons. And so try to come in there and say, hey, we're going to do this and we're going to win and we're going to win the right way. And so I just try to take that from him of, kids don't care what you know until they know how much you care, and I think that was a big step for me he was so passionate and he was a smart football coach. He was into the X's and O's, but more than that, he loved his team. And we've tried to bring that to our program. And I don't know that I can live up to his success in those shoes that he had, because he was a darn good football coach, but I've certainly tried to take a lot of things he's taught me over the years.
What other coaches along the way have influenced you the most, would you say, as you are doing this next chapter of your career?
Yeah, I think I just tried to take a little bit of all the ones that I had. I think offensively, as I call plays, Shawn Payton was a big one of, taking chances and don't be afraid to talk yourself out of it, and so I continue to try to do that as a play caller of, hey, I'm going to call this as soon as we get a turnover, and be bold with that, and then I think there's a little bit of that Parcells that I learned early on of, right's right and wrong's wrong. And we can't live in the gray of just the culture you create, whether it's your best player or it's a new member of your team. The standard's the standard, and there's a way to be firm, but still also for the kids to know that you love them. And then just bits and pieces of each guy. I think with Jason Garrett, one of the things I took from him was just, you got to evolve with the game. We're fortunate now. We got a really good quarterback that can throw it. Next year, we may not, and if you sit back there and try to throw it 50 times a game, you're not going to have much success. And so focus on what your players do well and build your system week in, week out, certainly year in, year out, off of what they do. And that's what's impressed me so much about these high school programs here in Texas is they do that. They do it week in and week out. It's not just year to year. And certainly I think that's something I try to pride myself in.
Ready.
Another guy who's been a big cheerleader of yours as you've embarked onto this coaching career is your brother Shawn, who's won multiple state championships at your old high school, Elizabethton. He's been an unbelievable influence, I know, in your life as well. Do you guys talk about coaching? And is there a little friendly competition between the two of you? Who's going to win the most state championships?
Yeah, there's a little bit. I'm behind on that, and there's certainly some competition there. We even talked about potentially linking up and playing against each other one of these days. I think he was always a big supporter of mine when I was playing for the Cowboys, but there was a difference in high school and NFL. And so in a lot of ways, it's been really neat that our relationship, I feel like we just talk even more now as high school coaches, because, hey, how do you play this? Or what are you doing against this? And so it's been really neat. He's done it for a long time. He's had a lot of success. I think some of the core values that we learned from our grandfather are very similar. And so it's been great to kind of go on this journey, even though, he's in Tennessee and I'm in Texas, to be able to pick up the phone call and check in on Friday night to see how he's done. And, I let him watch our tape. He watches mine and I watch his tape. And so he's been a great influence for me and a great friend and really a mentor in a lot of ways in the high school world. So I'm certainly grateful for my brothers.
I look at you and you're one of those guys that impacts everybody that you come in contact with. I felt that in the media. I always said to myself, I want to be like that guy. I want to be a better dad. I want to be a better father. I want to be a better person. Just by meeting you, I got that sense. Do you enjoy impacting people's lives now that you're in this position?
I really do. I think for me, I always thought that the reward was going to come in drawing up this perfect play and seeing this kid have success. And it does. And Friday night, that's a great reward for my staff and me to be able to call a play and to see them have success. But man, if it stops there, then I'm missing the boat, and for me, it's about being able to live a life and model what you're asking from your kids in your daily life, be passionate about something that you love. Certainly that's football for me. And then be able to use that game as a tool and as a resource to teach them about the things that really matter, because so many of these kids are not going to go on and play 17 years in the NFL. They're not going to have that opportunity. And so what can I do on a daily basis within our program to set them up 5, 10, 15 years ago from now when life really hits them and they can think back to maybe something they learned within our program? I think about that every day, and how you do it. And your time is tight with the kids and you got to get to the ball and you got to get to this play and all that. But I remind myself every day, don't forget, to be able to smell the roses along the way and know that you can make a great impact in these kids' lives. And there's a great reward that I have of being a high school football coach from those relationships and seeing them, being able to impact them and try to be a positive influence in their lives. So it's incredible.
Let's go, Stump! One more, Stump! Hey, that ain't the way to play. Let's go. Wait on the side. TJ, go, line up. Shoot your goal.
Or your defense. Stop them short again.
I'm always amazed at how tough and difficult TAPS football is, because the schools may be smaller, but they're rich in talent, just like the big schools like Allen, Galena Park, North Shore, Katy, and Duncanville. I mean, you just have talent everywhere and the size is there. What's been the biggest challenge of private school football, you think?
Oh, well, teams, I think, just rebuild every year, and there's so many new bodies there that it's hard, it's hard to be able to compete with those guys year in and year out. And I think, what Parrish has been able to do of going in and beating some of these teams. I know they didn't this year, but, beating China Springs and I think what they beat Aledo a year ago. They lost to South Oak Cliff by 3 or 4 points. And I think it's kind of put TAPS on the map in some areas. And so certainly you don't have the depth and you don't have the talent level of some of those teams you mentioned. Those are some of the best programs, not only in the state of Texas, but best high school football programs in the country. But I think that the challenge is being able to consistently do it, because they're going to find your weak link, and you may have two really good cornerbacks or defensive backs, but they may find that one guy that they can pick on. And so I think just being able to have depth and compete, but everybody has the same issue. Some of those helmets behind you, they have those same challenges. If that right tackle goes down, man, we're hanging on. And so I think that's when coaching matters. I think that's when development of players matters, and really just a belief in your team of we're going to still find a way to win. And that's what the great programs do in Texas high school. And that's certainly what we're trying to build.
Tell me about some of the other stars that we should be keeping an eye on this year. I know one that really jumps out to me is Antonio Simone, who's a guy who's got the highest GPA at Liberty Christian. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's an amazing kid. He's really smart. He plays center for us. He was an all-state player, just quick, tough, great leader. We have a receiver, Brady Janusek, who's a safety and wide receiver for us. He's a big-time player, two-way player. He had 2 touchdowns the other night. He also had 2 interceptions. Our other wide receiver was a state champion in 100-meter yard dash. He plays slot for us. This is a third-year starting for us. He's quick. He's got a lot of those Cole Beasley traits to him, and he's really tough. And then we have a running back that's really good, Chase Garnett. He's strong. He's elusive. He's got great vision. He can pass protect, and a number of others, that we have that are really good players. And those guys have kind of stuck out for us in our program. Our senior wide receiver played tight end for us last year. His name's Michael Stump. He plays kicker for us too. Just really guys that have bought into the program. What do you need me to do, Coach? I'll do whatever you need me to do. We got some size on our offensive line. And so I feel like we got a lot of pieces there together that these guys have a chance to go on and play in college football, just like Cole Welliver, who you mentioned, and other teams do too, and I think I'm really proud of where our team's at, where we're at, but there's so much work that's gone into it. Our all-season program and winter conditioning, our coaching staff's really poured into them, and our kids are all into our program, and they do other sports too. So that's been really cool for our program, our school.
It's amazing how determined and detailed your coaching staff is. They are on it every single play. And what went into that, selecting guys? And I bet it's kind of fun for them that they get to actually coach under you.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they sometimes at practice they think otherwise when I start getting upset with them. But I think the biggest thing I challenge our coaching staff is the reward doesn't come in a paycheck in high school football. The reward comes in the development of kids and seeing them go out there and put their best foot forward. And so I think our guys have really put the time in to be successful. But again, it goes back to forget the X's and O piece. Like, you got to have a relationship with these kids. We got to get them to run through a wall for us. And so our coaching staff has done a great job of that. They've been all in with me. I've pushed them hard. I've challenged them. Basically every day I challenge those guys to kind of rise up and meet the challenge of what we're trying to ask them to do. But they've been great, and it's really been neat for me to kind of walk through them and kind of coach the coaches in some ways of, hey, we need to be better here. We need to think about doing this a little bit different. But, these high school football coaches, what a great platform they have to reach kids. I just have so much respect for them, and my staff's been tremendous in that regard.
And above you, you have like an all-star lineup of administrators. There's not too many coaches walking around that have an athletic director with the accolades and the honors that your athletic director has in Randy Mays. How good has that been for you as far as your transition, being surrounded with all these great people?
Yeah, Coach Mays is a legend in Texas high school football, and he's been a great mentor for me. He's he doesn't talk about his career very often, but one of my guys on my staff worked for him, and so he's just been a great mentor. He's all in. Anything he can do to help. He's just so passionate, to be involved like he is, and he's our biggest fan. So I'm grateful to get to go to work with him every day, and to just know his office is just a few feet away from mine, that I can go in and check in, and I can vent and share some of my experiences. And he's an incredible man, even more than any of that. And so that's made it very rewarding to build that relationship over the last 12 months. And I'm looking forward to what lies ahead with him as well, because he's just been a great friend and great mentor, and just a great person to pick his brain.
It's fun to see that whole community really buying into the Warrior way. I know you're a man of faith and family. You always have been. What is it about that community that is such a great fit for you and your family?
Well, I think just first off, I think, as you mentioned, just it aligns with the opportunity to be able to share our faith. That's been a huge part of my life and my platform in the game of football. And so being able to go to a school where you can openly talk about that and teachers are partnering with you, or you're partnering with the teachers to reach the same thing. I think also just seeing the kids reach their fullest potential, academically, other sports. I mean, Liberty really prides itself in a place of, whatever you want to do, you can do here, meaning that we're going to open up those doors we're not going to say no, that if you can handle that workload, then do that. And so I think being able to share athletes and see these kids be pushed in so many different areas and then also to be loved on by so many different people. Certainly I wanted my kids to be a part of, and now on the other end of it, I take great, I have great admiration for them as a staff and want to be a part of what that relationship can be for these young kids. So, all teachers are special. I think at Liberty, it's been neat to be a part of that community and now use the game of football to kind of help build that community that's so special and let people know what an impact these guys are making.
I know your wife, Michelle, has always done big things in the DFW community back to your Dallas Cowboys days. She's the rock in your family. I know you've talked about it in the past. How much is she enjoying this whole experience of your next phase in your career?
Yeah, she's loving it. And I couldn't do it without her. I mean, she's been the rock every step of the way from, seeing it from a mom's perspective of, hey, you may need to do this, or moms like to know this, some of the things that I'm not probably on top of. But then also just being the head coach's wife and help building the program from, doing tailgating to helping out, praying over the kids in the locker room, and dinners and smoothies and everything, pregame meals. And so she's completely invested in it. And I think a huge part of our success on the field, she deserves a lot of credit for that because she's been right there with us. And she saw it on that stage as a player's wife for so long and the stresses that come from that. And I think she's just been the biggest cheerleader for our boys in our program. She's been a great resource for the parents, the moms, as their kids play football and that community as we've built it. So she's loving it. I think having two kids and her husband coaching and, like always, when I was playing, she would remind me when I should have caught the ball and every once in a while when I have a bad call, she's not afraid to remind me that either. So it's been a lot of fun for our family.
What is like game day like in the Witten family on a Friday night?
Well, I think there's this moment of my boys are just like all the other boys, they finish up school, they want to get ready and get locked in. And, I think the uniform and the drip and all that stuff is a big deal. But for us, I think when we get to Friday, I think there's a big smile that comes on Michelle and my face of, man, this is what you live for, and it's just such a small time in your life to be able to do. But to be able to be present and be there and be so involved, it's just every time we just have so much joy and gratitude for this time in our lives to be able to kind of be present with them. And I think the biggest thing we do is a little bit of nervousness for our kids and for our football team. And there's a lot of work that goes into it. And so you're excited to kind of see Friday nights, those 4 or 5 hours. You wouldn't rather be anywhere else than right there on the football field.
Well, one of my favorite awards is the Jason Witten Collegiate Man of the Year, which honors leadership both on and off the field. And I think Sam Ehlinger, one of your previous winners from the University of Texas, was a great guy that exemplified all that. I've always wondered, from a guy who's always been a great leader, how do you teach a kid to be a leader?
Well, that's a great question. I think consistency is where you start. I think the second thing is they got to see it in your actions and how you live it out, right? I mean, I think, one of the things that I've learned along the way is that these great plays, but, you got to live it out every single day, right? Kids are watching. They are so aware. They don't miss a beat. And so how you live your life, how you handle success, how you handle adversity, who are you when nobody's watching, that integrity and that character, those kids are always watching. I think that's the greatest example you can have. And then I think it's a process of teaching it, of you got to give them different examples and put it in their face, right? And they're all learning experiences. And I had a coach at a young age that kind of taught me what that looks like. And like any young leader, you lack confidence, you maybe miss an opportunity. And so I just try to take it, hey, let's hit pause. Let's hit pause here. Let's talk about what happened there. This was a great opportunity for you to do X, Y, Z. Next time, take advantage of that, right? Because your team's watching. And so I think you got to be able to coach it in real time, and you got to encourage them. And I think the biggest thing oftentimes with kids when you're dealing with it is they don't feel worthy to do that. They don't feel like, it's not my role. And it is your role. You are good enough to do this. You can. You do have that respect from your teammates. And so, I think a lot of times people think you're either born with it or you're not. And certainly I think there's certain guys that it comes a little bit more natural than others. But, man, I think you can learn it. I think you can be taught that and can grow in as a leader. And I've seen so many times, so many people that I have so much respect for that impacted me as a leader in my life, right? Whether it was in 9th grade and he was a junior linebacker, or whether I was playing for the Dallas Cowboys and it was Darren Woodson as a rookie. You just got to embrace that and live it out by your actions, because if they don't respect your actions and how you're living it out, they're not going to do what you ask them to do. And then you just got to continue to teach it over and over again. Every opportunity is a learning experience. It's not to get on them or make it hard on them. It's just let's learn from every experience that we have. And I've been really pleased with our growth in our football players and our young men as far as leadership goes. And more importantly, that they have that integrity, that they're high character individuals, not just when we're watching, but when they're by themselves. And that's when the real reward comes for them.
Well, in talking about leadership, it's easy to bring up your former teammate, Demarcus Ware, who went into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this summer. You were there to enjoy that ceremony. He, like you, is a Hall of Fame person, and he's going to go into the Ring of Honor. What do you think separated him from everybody else?
Yeah, I mean, Demarcus, just when anybody says his name, I just smile, because I think he was just such a joyful player and a great teammate and dear friend in our time together. Demarcus had rare ability in that he had the speed and the ability to bend and shorten the corner like every elite pass rusher does. He had the length, all the things that the measurables that you look for. But people don't understand how instinctive he was as a football player. I mean, he just could feel like you're leaning one way or the quarterback was looking that way. That's what separated him, I think, is to be able to rush a passer, but then be equally as good against the run or the ability to drop in coverage occasionally. He was just so dynamic. But I think that's just the physical piece of it. Demarcus is one of the best human beings I've ever met. I mean, he's kind, he's gentle, he's hardworking. He's one of the most giving people I've ever been around and been associated with. So I'm so proud of him. I'm proud to say that he was a teammate and a friend. I thought the Hall of Fame, he did a fantastic job with his speech, and just so rewarding for him to be able to get recognized so quickly at such a young age. And now to go in the Ring of Honor, I mean, what a rare group, to be able to join. They don't just give those out, and Demarcus is so deserving to go to the Ring of Honor. And it's just a great chapter these last 3 or 4 months for him to be able to be recognized on the national scale for his abilities, and to be that great of a player and then also be that good of a person. You don't see that oftentimes. And so I'm just proud to know him.
So well said. And, he's going into the Ring of Honor. We know you're going to go in the Ring of Honor. I think Jerry's going to hold back and have you and Tony Romo go in together, kind of like he did with the triplets back in the early 2000s. Well, Jason, thank you so much for doing this. Continued success. We can't wait to see where you end up with this team. Thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for all your coverage of high school football here in Texas. You do a great job.
Thanks for checking out Rick Renner, Texas High School Hysteria. Make sure you subscribe and never miss an episode. You can catch us on YouTube, Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and Odyssey, or any of your favorite streaming platforms. Tune in and we will see you soon.